I want to show you how to send me the finished projects that you make throughout this semester during the several weeks that you're sending me projects. I want to show you the way to get these things to me the easiest way. You're going to email them to me, and we have to have a format that everybody does the same, and it makes it much more simpler for you and for me to receive and store these projects as they come in. I have a file with your name on it, and I put your work as I get it into that file, and then as I have work there, I evaluate it, and it becomes part of the grading system. But let's say this is the project you've worked on. I've got all these elements here. You can see on this side I've got all of the layers that are part of this picture. And so there's the Farmall lettering on the bottom that's off and on. There's the tractor itself that I've cut out. There's the shadow for the tractor that's sitting there on the grass. There's the Farmall headline across the top, sitting behind the smoke or the exhaust pipe of that tractor. And then there's the background that is the green grass and the cabins that is filling that space. The space is 7 inches by about 6 inches, and that's the formula that we're doing for this. Let's say it's going into print. Notice down here it's 53 megabytes. That's a pretty large document. We wanted to have it down in the 1 megabytes to send it across the internet. So the process is, once you have finished and you're satisfied with what you have, you save. Oh, another thing I want to remind you, you see the word tractors at Farm the West and also the word Farmall. They normally have a T in these little boxes saying that it's type. But to get this to you so that if you don't have this particular font on your computer would substitute another font there, and I'm not sure what you put in there, and I want to have my lettering come there. So what I've done is I've gone up to layer, and I've already done it, so this isn't available. It's grayed out, but I rasterize, choose rasterize, and then it says type, the options that open up, and I've rasterized the type. So it's no longer type. It's shapes that look like an F and an A and an R, and it's got the little effects, the drop shadow, and the beveling going on in the lettering that comes out of these filters down here. So that I am giving you then shapes, not type as per se. Once you do this, you can't go back and check spelling or move things around as easy as you can when it's in type. But for this reason, as we get the same type, I put this here for you. Now, this is a final, so I'm going to save it. File, save as, and it's going to be my Farmall cover Photoshop document. I'm going to put it on the desktop for now. Eventually, I'll put it in a designated file or folder. In your case, it would be this class's file and the weeks and the folders and the projects that you've done. So, and it's in Photoshop format, and everything else is okay, so I just hit save. And I okay that I'm going to go through all this process. And you see over here on my desktop, here is the Farmall cover Photoshop document that is shown up, and it'll sit there until I place it in a file. But that's for my own records, so that if I need to go back and fix and change or substitute or take parts out of it, I can do that. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go up here to the little options lines in this layers area and click on that and get the down menu and say I want to flatten the image. Now what that does is it takes all those images and puts it into one image with the italicized word background. That means they're all together. There isn't any more layers. And the little lock over here says it's locked together. I can't change layers. I can't get out of it. If for some reason you do that prematurely, you could go back up to history and see where it says flatten image. Just go here and they're all back. But you can only do that in your history thing until you shut this document down. If you open it tomorrow, then the history starts with where you opened it. But while I worked on that, I've done that. Now I'm going to go back to the flatten image thing, and there it is under my history. So I'm going to go back to Navigator there, and I have my document. Now remember, I went from 50-something megabytes. Look down here in the lower corner, it's 19.2 megabytes. So I'm compressing this a bit. But I'm not through compressing yet. One other stage you need to go through is to go to File, I'm sorry, image and image size. And then we get this box up, and remember I use a factor of 7 inches somewhere, 7 high, 7 wide, for most of the work that I'm doing in this class, so that I don't get the documents way big, 12 by 18. This is a huge document with a lot of numbers, megabytes on the side. But so I go a 7 wide, and it just came to 6 because it's connected together here, whatever the ratio was of the picture I built. I'm going to go click on resolution, and it blues the whole number and put 200, 200. And that is still a high enough resolution that the printer or the website can use this image just fine. But at 400, it's a pretty big number still. At 200, when I hit OK, now it's going to go from 19 down to 4.18 megabytes. So I've really compressed it down now, and it's gotten a little smaller on the screen. I can go back to my navigator up here and slide that and make it a little bigger so I see it all right, but it's now suppressed itself down. Now the next thing you're going to do is you're going to save this file, save as, and the box comes up, and you're going to change this format from Photoshop down to JPEG. JPEG is the full short version, but it even shortens by 1 character. A dot JPG, it makes it a JPEG document. Okay, once I've got that, now I'm going to say save that, and it asks me one more time about how do I want this to look, maximum, minimum, whatever. I want maximum, this 12, and so I hit OK. See, if you go down here, you get high at 8 and medium at 6 and low. I want high or maximum quality, so I hit OK. Now notice that it shows up over here on the side, on the edge of my Photoshop page, and there is Farmall Cover JPEG. Let's look at that a little closer. I'm going to click on it and select it, and then I'm going to hit Command I, or think of it as information. And it tells me this is that picture, and its size is 1.6. So what it's seeing now, instead of 56, it's seeing 1.6. Let me go to the other one, the Photoshop Farmall. I'll select it and Command I, and you see it sees that at 48.7 megabytes. So at 1.6, that's great to send on the internet as an email attachment, or attachment on an email that gets that to me by email very carefully. So I'm going to close these 2 documents down. They're still over here, and I'm still going to place those in my file. You might want to have a file for class documents and project documents. But and again, save them both ways. So you have the layer version that's bigger on your computer, and the JPEG that's been compressed down so that it will give you what we need. Now, I'm going to show you how to email this to me. I've opened up my Entourage, and I'm going to say I want a new document, and I'm going to send it to me via my email. This is the email you will use to send to me, cglassford@gwc.cccd.edu. Okay, so that's my website that I want you to send me your projects by. That's Golden West College, Coast Community College District, and education that's what we are. So when I hit away from that, you see it's now, the 2 is here sent. You don't need to CC this to anybody unless you want to send a copy to somebody else or back to yourself to make sure, but your email will tell you sent that. Now the subject is critical because I need short subjects. I don't want you to wander off and make up your own thing. I want these to be very uniform. All the work I get in should look the same. So it's easier for me to find these things and get them to you. Here's how I want you to, the subject I want DART in all caps. Then I want an underscore, not a dash, not a dot, but an underscore. And then in this case, let's call this the first project we worked on. It's not, but let's just say it's the first one. Each project has a number, and it's that number I'm interested in, not the name, not the description, not the tractor, not the grass, not the cabins. I want 1, if that's the project. So I'm going to put a 1 there. And then another underscore, so we're all uniform. And that it's important in computer work that you're uniform. because if you put a dot or a dash or something else that's there, it will not come into my filing system the same way. Now, the next thing you're going to put there is your last name. Whatever your last name is, your roster name. If you get married and change your name, you know, whatever your roster name is, that's the one I want. So that gives you the subject is, I know it's the DART class. You don't have to put the G150 on it because I'm scaling this down as close as I can. And this becomes the digital art class that I'm working on. Project name 1 and then the name. Now that's the subject. Now if I open the attachments, then I'm going to say I'm going to drag the Farmall cover over here on the thing here. This is what I want to send is this Farmall cover. But I don't want that name on it. What I want on that name, I'm going to click on it over here and open it so that it's open. And I want that same line, DART, all caps, underscore, the project number that I'm working on. Let's call that 1. And then my last name. Now, if this is me sending it, I put Glassford or your last name. There might be a change if your last name is Smith and I have 2 Smiths or 2 Wins or 2 Johnsons. It's a common name. I might ask you to put your initial, your first initial after your name. So it would be Glassford.C. But there I've given it the right name that I want. Now I'm going to click and drag that and put it in the attachment box. And there it sits. DART underscore 1 underscore Glassford, and it puts the JPEG on there because it's coming with this document. You see it sees it as 2.05 megabytes. That's just fine to send. Now you might want to give me a short message here if you want to say here is project 1. Now let's see if I spell project right. And then just for cute, you can put your name. I'll get that right too. Now, if you have a question about it or you want to make some comment, make a comment or ask the question or send me a separate email. But I don't need very much. And I know these projects, since I made them up, I know what project 1 is or project 9 or project 10. I just assume you do it very carefully, right down to the underscores and the right number so that off they come to me. Now, when you hit send, that's going to send me this, this document. And I open it up on my end and I place them in your file. I create a file for you for this class, and that's how we exchange work. If I see something that's really necessary to change or correct or fix, I'll send you an email back. If it's working fine, if you've done what I've asked you to do, I just put it in there and I don't take the time to say, I got it, everybody's fine, everything. If you don't hear from me, it's good. I may email you at some point and say, there's some things missing, you might want to check back, make sure you have them or have done them or send them to me again or whatever. But that's how that's going to work. Now, you can send more than one document. Let's say over this week you did project 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You can put 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 in this box, and they will come in because you said DART 1 and DART 2 and DART 3. It'll come numerically set up, alphabetically and numerically. Numbers beat alphabet, but that 1 or that 2 or that 3. So you can send me, and I prefer you do that so I don't have to keep opening and opening and opening and opening. Send it to me all at once, then I can take all of them and put them in play. So then when that's all done and you're ready to go, hit the send button, and it's going to find that information and send it off, and I'll get it. Okay, so the way that I'm going to get these things back from you is that you will have collapsed these things into flatten the images into one layer, and then do that process that we've gone through to send this to me via that DART underscore project underscore last name. Now, it may come up somewhere in some of the visuals that you see, some of the videos you see, that there may be a different way of sending things. I've made 2 or 3 classes, and I've used some parts here and some parts there, and sometimes something else will show up. This is the official way for now and for the rest of the semester to send me stuff so that it gets to the right direction, right place, right everything. Saves me a lot of time, and I'm interested in that. So review this as necessary and send it exactly the way I said it would be, or asked you to do it, or else it just takes up more time. And you know the instructor gets really cranky when he has to take extra time to do what he's already asked you to do. So be careful about cranky instructors, and have a good learning moment.